Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to Trail Society, produced by our friends over at Feisty Media. I'm your host, Corrine Malcolm, and today's episode would not be possible without our incredible support behind the scenes at Feisty. Thank you to the amazing women who keep this show moving like a well-oiled machine. Please give them a follow on Instagram at feisty_media and check out the website for more information on other Feisty podcasts at feisty.co. Today's guest is the fiercely independent Sabrina Stanley. You might know Sabrina from her wins at the Grand Raid or the Hardrock 100, her fastest known time throwdowns on Nolan's 14, or her podium and top 10 finishes at races like Leadville, Western States, and UTMB. I'm personally fortunate to know Sabrina as a former teammate and dear friend. But 2025 was a year of high highs and low lows for Sabrina. She signed onto the OnlyFans athlete team in March of 2025, but subsequently was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. After 9 months, 3 surgeries, chemotherapy, an amazing wedding, and now in the midst of immunotherapy, Sabrina has made her return to ultra racing after competing in the Arc of Attrition 100 mile at the end of January. She joins us today to talk about the journey back to the start line and what it meant to get to that finish line. Sabrina Stanley, welcome to the pod. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm so excited to see you.
I feel like I'm sitting close to technically where you grew up, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But one thing I'm doing this year is kicking off every single show with the same question, and that is simply, what is something you wish people knew about you? And I'll go first. While I grew up in a ball sports family, the first sport I fell in love with was figure skating, and I did it somewhat mediocrely for almost a decade.
I love that. Something I wish they knew about me. I don't know. I think just like being in a sport, you get perceived as like your sports personality. And I think we're just so like dimensional humans that I think I have like a really funny side, I have a really spontaneous side, I have a very like unserious side that doesn't get highlighted as much when you're competing. And so yeah, just like the different like goofy facets of my personality. So I guess I'm like a really goofy person that doesn't come through always.
I love that. Actually, Abby Hall, something very similar. She was like, I'm just kind of really goofy and no one gets to see that. And knowing both of you, that is very, very true. I mentioned that I'm sitting not that far from where you grew up. I actually got to go to your hometown earlier this fall, and we grew up in very similar ball sports families. Like, I think our parents, particularly our dads, were very into like traditional ball sports. We competed in ball sports growing up. I'm just wondering how sport in that way shaped you as a young athlete, and how that maybe, I don't know, was like the foundation for you as a competitive person today.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just showed me how to use my body and how like I need that physical release to be like a normal, happy human. And so if I don't have that, then I kind of feel lethargic and gross. And like, I just need that outlet of physical exertion. And so once I wasn't playing team sports, I was like, how do I get this? And that's where running entered the picture. Cause it was like something somebody doesn't have to like teach you. You can just like walk out your door and run. And I was like, okay, this feels good. It feels good to sweat. It feels good to push myself. And this is what I feel most at home doing because I've done it since I could walk. And so, yeah, that's, I think by my dad kind of pushing us into team sports, you were kind of like guided through how to work out and that aspect of it. And so it lent itself to working out as an adult. And then the whole other aspect is just, when you're on a team sport, you have so many girlfriends that are just like naturally built into your life, which is amazing. And I think when we were a part of Adidas, like we got that again, was like you were forced to be friends not forced to be friends, but like you were given the opportunity to make friends with your competitors in a way that in a solo sport isn't always there, because we were always traveling together and had team camps and stuff like that. And so just being on team sports, you got that like sisterhood aspect of it too.
Yeah, which I love, because I can be married with that competitive aspect and can be married into like us showing up as our very best as individuals while still being part of the same team. And actually there's this question that I was excited to pose, and it was the idea that, so we were teammates for 5 years. And during that time, I think when you were being kind of asked to come onto the team, you were described as like as a lone wolf, but what they said in that was like, she's a lone wolf, but she's also fierce. And because she's fiercely independent, but you're also incredibly loyal and loving and take care of your pack. And that was kind of that, like, the win of this independent person, but also this person who, like, is going to show up for team when team matters. And I'm wondering how that resonates with you, this idea that there are those two sides to your athletic story.
Yeah, I mean, I think those kind of always go hand in hand. It's hard, I think, to be a fiercely competitive person, and like, because that shows a loyalty towards yourself and that personality. And so then when you have somebody that you care and love about, like that, you just naturally are insanely loyal to them as well, because you want them to succeed also. And so I think that I want to say particular, but like I am very, I like to be specific about who I let into my circle, and like they have to show me that they're just as loyal to me in a way, you know? And so I, like, everyone in my circle, I would fucking would kill for. I don't know if you can swear, but like, you know what I mean? And so, because I feel the same that they would do for me. And so, yeah, I just, like, once I see that loyalty in somebody else, like, I bond with that. And I'm like, oh, I see you. Like, I know who you are. And I recognize that in myself. And so I just want to be friends with you.
And I think that's interesting. And again, Abby and I talked about this as well, because she's like, people always describe women as like smiling around the mountain, and we're here to win. And you are a person, and I think the sport has changed in a way, and we respect women a whole lot more than we used to. It's not just about them smiling around the mountains. They are there to, like, we're there to compete. We're there to win. But you are a person who's definitely taken on some of that pushback, because you've been upfront about your goals, about your competitive, about wanting to win. Famously, I think you got public pushback around Nolan's, and how that was something that you cared about a ton. And that, you know, like you and Megan and other people were like throwing down on this route. And people are like, this isn't within the, like, the spirit of the sport. But I think it completely is. And the pro women see that and are excited about it. And I'm wondering, you know, you've gotten to watch that, I think, hopefully change as well. And I'm curious how you feel about how we view competitiveness, particularly in the women's field right now.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've distanced myself from it a little bit, just because the last year I haven't been like in the trenches as much. And so it's not as fresh in my memory, and I haven't been like experiencing it as much. But I would also say that, like, when I first entered the sport, as I think a lot of women, they're there to like establish their spot and who they are and what they can do. And so that competitiveness needs to be like front and center a little bit more. And they're kind of like focused on their own goals. And then I think once you become established, you can kind of like not become less competitive, but you can broaden your scope and be like, we're kind of all here for the same reason. And maybe that's just maturing and seeing and like being confident in where you are in the sport as well. And being like your success is my success as a woman. And like the more women we can get out there, they're just like crushing it and competing with the men and doing better, like the more money that we can like get into the sport and hopefully get in female contracts. And so I think you just get a much broader view the longer you're in the sport and the more established you become, that like it's not only about you and like your reputation and like your resume. It's like us as a whole that are pushing the sport forward and making it more accessible to like the women coming behind us, you know? Like if we can get more money to women who are crushing it entering the sport, then that gives them more time to crush it even more. And like, I think that records will fall sooner. And I don't know, it just becomes a more interesting sport to watch the more competitive it gets.
And I think it's one of those things where the women's field has felt that for a long time. And now I think we're better able to, I don't know, explain that sensation of what we truly want to the wider audience. And I don't know, I think it's oftentimes men who are offended by women stating their competitive intention, whereas like the rest of the women's pro field is cheering it on. So it's been a really good change in my mind. I was reflecting on your athletic career, as many of our athletic careers. Most of us were not like one-hit wonders, immediate success stories, came in, won the 100-mile race, like, check. We've all like come in, had to figure out the sport, had some failures.
Yes.
And I think, did you get timed out of your first 100-mile race?
Yeah, mile 87.
That's wild. Like that to me is so
at
interesting.
Leadville.
So tell us a little bit about like diving in to ultra running and not having that immediate success, like getting timed out at mile 87?
Well, yeah, I mean, I entered the sport fully expecting to be a middle of the pack runner, fully expecting just to be like, I've ran 100 miles. Like, I've just physically ran 100 miles. I can check that off. I don't care what my time was. I don't care where I placed in the field. Just like, I know I can run 100 miles. That was my goal and where I expected like it to kind of end. And so, yeah, I ran my first 87 miles technically. And I got timed out. And like, honestly, my training looking back was total garbage. I was working a ton and I thought like 8-mile runs a day would be enough, like leading into it. And I just kept not doing my long runs. My nutrition was a joke. I ran in road shoes. Like every mistake a rookie can make, I made. And I went into it with all the confidence of a like seasoned veteran. It was earth shattering when it didn't go as planned.
Tale as old as time.
But yeah, and so I timed out at mile 87 and wasn't even disappointed like with my place. I was just disappointed I didn't finish 100 miles. So I came back the next year and I was like, this summer I'm dedicating everything I can to finishing 100 miles, like not even doing well. Like plan probably D was like, maybe I can go top 10 at Leadville, which Leadville's top 10, like not to like, it's kind of accessible if you really try. And so it's not Western States or UTMB, you know? And so when I did, that was like a secret goal of mine is like, can I go top 10? And I ended up finishing and I came in 4th and I was like so thrilled. I then just kind of kept, you know, signing up for another race and doing well and realized I had a knack for it. But when I entered the sport, there was no like, I'm going to dominate the sport or I'm going to, you know, be at the top of the pack every time or something like that. I was just like, I want to see if I can run these distances and then how well can I run them?
Yeah, I love that it's like this very intrinsic motivation. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, I'm going to be the very best or I'm going to podium at all these things. It was like, how well can I do? And I love to see that kind of through line of that competitive nature in you from like a youth and high school athlete into what has now become your bread and butter, the 100-mile distance. I think that that is cool to see a knack in it. I tell people, be careful what you're good at. Like there are days where I wish I was like really good at the 5K because my life might be
easier. I feel that really hard.
I feel like it sucks when I'm really good at running for 30 hours.
Yeah. I'm just like good at going like, just set me in 3rd gear and give me some food and I can go forever.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's been cool to watch that change. And obviously this past year, as you said, you've been away from sport in a big way. When I was actually doing the math, I was like, wow, this comeback is actually like pretty expeditious and pretty quick. And we're going to talk about, in my mind, why it feels like that. But first I want to talk about kind of the first big change that happened in 2025. And that is moving away from Adidas Terex and signing a sponsorship with OnlyFans. And I was laughing when I was like going back through Instagram posts because I loved your intro post from March of last year where you were basically just like, you thought I was going to go a traditional route, like kind of like wink. Like I personally felt like it was such a great fit and a really exciting move in sport. But I would like to take a small step back because people listening to this don't necessarily always understand what the sponsorship landscape looks like in trail and ultra running. And I'm wondering from your perspective, as someone who thinks about this a lot and who has had to think about this a lot because it's your career, how is ultra running and trail running different from mainstream sports when it comes to accessible sponsorship models?
Oh, I mean,
it's just different, right? Like it's a totally different world.
Yeah, it's so different. I mean, and I think we're not making the income that like I would say your top tier sports are making that are on TV. And so it's not like if you get one sponsorship and then that doesn't work out after a year, you can ride that out or that income out for a couple more years till you find another one or take some time off. Like our sponsorships are very much a year's salary and like not much more than that if you're lucky. I feel like you're always kind of on the, like you're trying to constantly perform so that you can get those sponsorships locked in. And then if you're lucky enough, you can get a big enough sponsor where like that's all you need. You don't need to like put a puzzle together of like 10 different sponsors to make enough money to do this at the level you want to do it at. I was looking at, you know, the scope of sponsorships available And I had been thinking about OnlyFans as an option for a while. And then my sports agent, Tyler, he said, they have an athlete program. Like, do you want me to reach out to them for their athlete program? And I was like, yeah, let's just like see what happens. And they were just as stoked as we were. And so it like going back to like women in the sport, I think, a decade or, 15 years ago, it was like there's 10 chairs at the table and there's like one sponsorship for a female out of those 10 chairs. And now we're kind of just like, no, we're going to start taking other chairs and adding more chairs to the table. Like we're not all competing for that one chair. And I think, again, like that makes it easier to support other women as well. Cause it's not all us against each other trying to get this one spot. Like we can bring as many chairs to the table as we want. And I think OnlyFans is opening that door, and other sponsors that are not traditional shoe sponsors that are in the sport to allow women and other athletes to compete at the levels they want to compete. And so we're just bringing in money that wasn't formerly in the sport, to start with.
Yeah, it's this idea of like non-endemic sponsors that are not necessarily like tried and true, a shoe brand, a sock brand, etc. And I'm wondering, when you learned about their athlete team, what was that like? Because they sponsor hundreds of athletes. Like, tell us a little bit more about what that looks like. Because I think many of us know OnlyFans is like one very specific thing and don't really like go beyond that in our personal knowledge.
Yeah. So their athlete program, I was just as green to it as most people are, I think. And like it is getting bigger. But when I first heard about it, it's like, okay, like who are these other athletes? What sports are they in? They have like, I don't know the proper term for it, but like high divers, the like trick divers that go up like crazy high. There's one girl, I forget her name, that signed the same time frame I did. They have a bobsledder. She's German. I think they have a bunch of different like racing athletes in different niche racing, like motorsports and bikes and stuff. So I just started following a couple of them on Instagram to see like what it was about. And then the female bobsledder, I started following her on Instagram on OnlyFans to see like how she ran her OnlyFans account. And there's total free reign to run it as G-rated as you want to, and just kind of like show your training and your sport and stuff. And you can go as far as you want in the other direction as well. And so there's no pressure to do anything you don't want to do. And it's just highlighting your sport and showing it to the world and promoting their social media platform.
Yeah, effectively they were like, we've created a Patreon for athletes in a way where it's like allows you to directly interact with your fan base. I think that's a super interesting element. And I wonder over the past year, as you've gotten more involved with their athlete team and your own personal brand, how has that been being able to like cultivate this community following and feel like you have that kind of one-on-one support?
Yeah, it's a totally different, like, I don't know what I was expecting, but when I got on OnlyFans, I was maybe comparing like a one-to-one to Instagram, and it's totally different. Like the people on OnlyFans, you have to take a picture of your ID to be on it. So there's no bots, there's no like fake profiles. It's like genuine people on there. And so when you're talking to people, they want to be there. They know what the platform's about, and they're so excited to follow you and that you're there. And Instagram, I feel like, can be a little bit different. You're not sure who's on the other end of that line that you're talking to. And so OnlyFans has been incredibly positive and just fun to be around. And then because of like my health journey over the last year, like this year, me signing with them did not go how I thought it would go. And I kind of like immediately put them to the test in a way that like an athlete maybe doesn't want to put their sponsor to test. Like, are you going to stick by me through this? Like, I don't know. It would be understandable if they're like, this is a lot, early on, and we'll see you on the other side, if you meet us there. And so they've been with me every step of the way and been so incredible and so understanding when I need to take a step back and be like, I just can't post about my story right now. Like, I'm too much in it. I'm too emotional. I'm too like, I just don't know where this is going. And I can't interact and engage with anybody like outside my immediate family and circle. And they were so understanding of that. And so I'm really, really thankful that the cards fell while they did in terms of signing with them and their reaction to my last year.
Yeah, there isn't a 6-month injury clause that many of our traditional contracts might have in that regard. I also love this idea of it's not that one-to-one to Instagram where it's like, I can't imagine there are a lot of trolls on OnlyFans because they're like, they have to be real humans to be there unless they're giving you a hate follow. And that's like pretty extreme.
Yeah. I haven't had, like, honestly, I haven't had a single negative interaction on OnlyFans. And I've been on it for going on a year now. And everybody is genuinely just so supportive. And even like with what I've been going through, they've been like, you know, I hope you get better. We're still following you. Like, we're so stoked that you're back to racing and like only getting stronger. And not to say like Instagram is only negative, but like those negative comments do slip through sometimes. And so like you're always braced for it. Like, oh, what's this one gonna say? And so like going on OnlyFans, like I don't have any of that fear. It's just like every interaction is positive.
Yeah, I love that. I also think that OnlyFans to me felt like it gave you a real sense of autonomy and control and a true ability to express yourself. And so I'm wondering what that felt like as far as a natural alignment went. 'Cause it's something that you'd been toying with for a while in the background.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like within reason, you can do whatever you want on OnlyFans and be like the personality you want to be. And maybe this is in my head, I felt like outside of OnlyFans, I was a competitive athlete, and like that was my lane. With OnlyFans, like, sorry, mom and dad, but like I'm a sexual person. Like I like to show skin. I like to like make jokes and be like a little inappropriate, and I like to swear and all those things that like might make some people blush or make sponsors a little queasy. And so I didn't feel like with OnlyFans, I can just be 100% myself. And as long as like there's no hate towards like whatever, like I can just embrace that and not be scared that like, I don't know, not that I've ever had this, but like I've always been aware, like you can't just like, I don't know, swear up a storm. You can't like take a running shot with your top off. You can't like, there are certain things that might not be embraced in mainstream sponsors, and OnlyFans is like, get after it. Like whatever you want to do, whoever you are, like we support that.
I think particularly for women and for women in the US, right? Where I think we've talked about that offline amongst our teammates, where it's like, yeah, there's a very American viewpoint of what women should be and are, and it's very modest. And we have European teammates where I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's in her underwear in this photo. Like, that's totally chill in Spain or France, but it's not chill in the US.
Yeah.
Like we live in a very different reality.
Oh, for some reason, I have so much like anger every time I see a male running topless, like all sweaty and just muscled out. And I'm like, why can't I do that? Like, I should be able to do that. And it's like total garbage that like my nipples aren't allowed and theirs are. And that's like all it is, like baseline. And so, yeah, I like my content on OnlyFans is, you know, my running, and it's very similar to my Instagram, but there are like paid posts that you can purchase, or, you know, posts that you can purchase that might show a little bit more skin. And I don't think that they're like incredibly like sexual. It's just a woman running topless through the mountains.
Yeah,
you know?
it doesn't feel very scandalous all of a sudden when you take a step back. But I do think we think of it as a scandalous thing. And personally, I was like, I know again that you'd been talking about this kind of want in the back of your mind for a long time, and so it all kind of aligned last year. And I was thinking about this, and I was like, man, it's kind of ironic, but from the outside, following along, it's like you finally have this brand alignment. You've got the sense of control over your body, your career, and then suddenly that sense of control like shatters in a big way, and you have a pretty huge health diagnosis mere months after announcing this signing with OnlyFans. And I'm just wondering, you know, you were prepping for a race, you pulled out of a race, you're prepping for another race in May of 2025, and suddenly you get the news that you have cancer. Like a spoiler alert, like you've been dealing with cancer for the past like 8-9 months now. What did that look like? You have control, you have autonomy, you have flexibility, and then suddenly control is out the window again.
Well, yeah, you feel like going back to what we were just talking about, like you feel this like freedom, like, oh, I can take these pictures, I can post them. I feel so confident and powerful. And then not that all that is gone, but like as a female, the things that make you like feel that power, like I'm a powerful female, in a way got stripped from me in
very quickly,
an unexpected turned. So like just to like power through some of the details, like I had a lump on my on my left ovary. They said it was benign. They took it out. It turned out it wasn't benign. They thought they had like got all the cancer out, and then we did a biopsy and it turns out it was in my uterus. So then they went back in on July 1st and did a full hysterectomy. So that is my right ovary, my uterus, my cervix, some lymph nodes, took all that out. And then they thought they'd still caught it like stage 1 or maybe 2. And then they thought once it was out that it was stage 3. So then that meant on August 1st, I went into chemo and did 6 sessions of chemo, finished chemo November 14th. And we'll currently be in immunotherapy through October 2028. So
it's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. Because I was like so excited to be on this path of competing and taking these pictures and like promoting OnlyFans, and like I was so excited for all of that and what I thought the future was going to hold. And then every aspect of that is gone. And now the only way I knew how to engage with social media was to tell my story. And like, I just couldn't do that. Like I kept thinking, okay, today's the day, you're going to like write it down and you're going to share. And then I couldn't. And then I'd be like, okay, today's the day. And like for months I would be like, I'm going to share more details. And for some reason, like I just couldn't. And then I would be able to share like one post with like not a ton of details, just like bullet points of like where I am today. And I did 2 posts like that in like, I don't know how many months. I finally feel like I'm getting out of that funk and like see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so I'm excited to like rejoin the world in a way. I just feel like I've been in this hole of like just literally trying to survive.
It's really hard to share your
sick.
journey when you're in the midst of it, right? Like it's really hard to share what's going on when you're in the thick of it and you're in your feels and there's so much uncertainty. And I think, it sounds weird to say that you were lucky and unlucky because it's cancer. Like cancer freaking sucks. Like there's no luck involved in that, but lucky in the sense that like they did catch it, that you were like, that your body gave you signals and the doctors followed up on it immediately in a way. And they didn't let it progress further than it already had. And listening to you rattle through a lot of details, I know that we have women listening to this who have had their own like ovarian cancer, their own uterine based cancers, who have had hysterectomies due to uterine masses or cancers, and they have that same sensation of like losing this piece of their identity potentially, or it just being such a huge change so quickly. And obviously you're done with chemotherapy, but you still will have immunotherapy for another couple of years. So we're through the initial like holy cow moment. Yeah. And so reflecting on that aspect, I'm curious how you're dealing with that now, given that you didn't have a lot of choice this past summer, right? It went from 0 to hero really quickly, and now you have a moment to kind of exhale.
Yeah, well, like you were saying, I'm lucky. I'm very lucky. And I said from the get-go, like, I'm so thankful that I live in this time period. Because even a decade or more ago, like, I don't know if they would have caught it. Immunotherapy is, like, super new. And I probably would have had way, like, not to say my chemo was easy, but, like, we have cold caps now, and cold caps help you save your hair. And, like, there are aspects of chemotherapy that are easier than they were a decade or 20 years ago. They have other medicines to prevent the nausea, so you're not throwing up, and like all these things that make it easier.
It still sucks.
But like you still had cancer.
Yeah, it's still cancer. And it's still like for a woman in particular, right? Like, not to say that you had made a decision about having kids or not, but that it makes a decision for you really quickly too. Like that's a huge
instantly.
Well, huge
like
thing.
I like always said, like, I'm never ever gonna have kids. I'm not gonna have kids. And then I found a partner, and like we met like the day I got diagnosed. And so
you lied about what surgery you were going
being around
for.
Tim. Yeah. And like being around Tim, like, oh, maybe I do, but they're like, there's no time to like save your eggs. There's no time for anything. They're just like, you're going, and like our relationship was so new. It's not even like we could have made that decision then anyway. But yeah, that for how much I was like, I'm never having kids, the aspect of that being ripped from you hit way harder than I would have ever guessed it would have. But yeah, anyway, so going to where we are today and like embracing this step forward, I feel like I'm still so new in it that I don't know how it's going to go yet. I've had one cycle of immunotherapy. I raced this past weekend and was supposed to, so I flew home, got home like 9:00 Monday night and was supposed to be in immunotherapy Tuesday at 9. And my liver values were strangely through the roof.
I wonder why.
They're like, we cannot treat you. And so I will be going in tomorrow for my second immunotherapy of a total of 18. So yeah. And they tell you like over and over again, like immunotherapy has like 0 side effects and like you're going to be totally fine. Based on my first experience with immunotherapy, I think that might be true for most people. But for me, like for what I'm asking out of my body, there are side effects. Like after an hour, I hit this wall that is just like insurmountable. Like I'm exhausted. And so, but that first hour feels normal. And so I think for immunotherapy, like a lot of people like, oh, like they're going about their day to day. They're doing, their whatever workout that they do post their chemo treatments to get back to normal. And they don't feel immunotherapy, especially compared to what chemo did to them. But I think what I'm asking for my body, immunotherapy, is kind of like, you're not out of the woods yet.
You're asking a lot, right? As
yeah, so I'm still kind of navigating that.
It's this interesting wrinkle in the whole thing, right? Where you're asking a lot of your body. And I think athletes are also just highly in tuned with their bodies, maybe more so than the general population. And so when things just feel a little bit off. And so this has to feel a little bit more than a little bit off. I was also reflecting on the fact that with a huge change in your basically like your bioanatomy, your body's ability to produce hormones or not was also changed. So now you're in a position where you had major surgery, you've gone through chemo, you effectively were put into menopause from this procedure. And because of the way this cancer works, right? Like you're not a candidate for things like HRT, which is like
Yes.
a lot of people, like we've got a number of people in our community who will have had like a double mastectomy and maybe a hysterectomy down the road because they are a BRCA carrier, for example, and they will ultimately end up on some form of HRT to help balance their energy and their hormones.
Yeah.
You're not a candidate for that. So now you have you're like, is this immunotherapy? Is this post-surgical? Is this ultra training? Is this menopause? Like that is a huge, I don't know. Calling it a wrinkle feels very diminutive because it's not a wrinkle. It's like a very prominent piece of the puzzle right now. And I'm wondering how that's been.
Yeah. No, so my cancer feeds off hormones. And so, yeah, I'm not allowed to take anything. And they're just kind of like, you just kind of have to deal with all the symptoms of menopause. And so I was like thrown into menopause. Yeah. You're thrown into menopause and then chemo, like you said. Hysterectomy is no joke. I feel like getting my left ovary removed was not a big deal at all. At least to like in terms like the broader picture. Like, take 2 weeks off and like ease back into running, you're good to go. Getting a hysterectomy was a mandatory 8 weeks off and then like slowly return to like easy jogging and, like kind of build from there. And like my stomach swelled for months, like so big. They call it jelly belly, which I was not like, had not been warned about. And like, we had to like Google it. Is this normal? Cause like, it just feels like you're carrying like 10 pounds of water weight on your stomach. And like, as an athlete, that's just like, again, like I'm with a new partner and like all this stuff. And you just like, don't feel your best and you're not running. So you don't have that release and you're like mentally so frazzled and like so many questions, like, will I be able to run again? And what does that look like? Will I be competitive? And why am I running then? Like, do I really want to keep pursuing this with so many questions and stuff? And you get to the point where you're just like, I'm just happy to go on a 5-mile walk today. Like, I mentally have to be outside. And then you're such a one of one. Like, every doctor, every nurse is like, we're normally dealing with like, and cancer is getting diagnosed younger and younger, but at least where I was, like, we're normally dealing with like 80-year-old men and women, and this is like their experience with chemo. We have no idea what yours is going to be. Like, none. We can't tell you about your athletic career. We can't tell you anything. Like, you have to tell us. And we don't, they also are like, we don't know if it's chemo or menopause or surgery related. Like, we're figuring this out alongside of you. And so I was getting like insane hot flashes, and everybody's like, oh, that's the menopause. And I'm like, no, they coincide directly with when I get chemo every time. And it took us way too long to figure out that's the steroids. Like, your body's reacting to the steroids in an aggressive way. You're having these like crazy hot flashes. And then not every chemo session is the same either. Like my session 3 and 6 were like going to kill me. And like one was like, okay, I can do this 5 more times, you know? And so, and there's different symptoms with each chemo. Like, it is just such a maze of like, just like going through it and figuring it out as you go. There's no map ahead of you. And then, yeah, I don't know. It's been frustrating because there are no answers, and you just like want to find like, just tell me what to expect. Just what is normal and what's not. And they're like, there is no normal. Yeah. And then like the biggest 2 things, like hair is obviously just like, I don't know. It's very surface level, but prevents you from like walking into a room and have everybody look at you and be like, oh, she has cancer, you know? Like you can pretend to be normal for a little bit if you are able to maintain your hair. And like mine still thinned a ton, but it was like manageable with a hat. And then the other big like side effect of chemo is neuropathy. And like as a runner, it's like, how much is that going to affect me? And I was told like my team that I worked with was amazing, but I was told like, once you are unable to button your shirt, let us know and we can talk about reducing some of your meds. It's like, if I can't button my shirt, then like we're so far past gone that like, and I know it's my hands, but like with my feet, like I need to be able to feel the rocks and the roots, and I need to be able to like grip my toes, and like I use my feet and I need that feeling. And so
yeah,
being able to navigate like what is short-term neuropathy, what's long-term, how do we prevent it as much as possible? Yeah, there's just a lot of like, also, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I don't want to spend my time when I'm sick learning about chemo. Like, I don't have the energy to advocate for myself. And so like, I don't know how I was so lucky, but like Tim and his mom, my mother-in-law, like they spent all their time researching for me and talking to doctors and being like, she's on like the highest dose of, you know, chemo that you can possibly give her for her weight and all this stuff. Can't we half it, or can we put her on the low range and will it still be effective? And like, you know, like elevating your feet and icing your feet nonstop and icing your head, because that prevents the chemo from getting to your hair follicles, and just like all the little things that you can do at home and I can't tell you how many supplements I was on, because Tracy, my mother-in-law, was like, this one prevents hair loss and this one prevents neuropathy. And it's all like, some people might look at all these studies and be like, they're total bullshit. And it's just like, we don't care. Like, we're just going to throw everything at the wall. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, like, we're not at a loss. Yeah. And so I have, I think, like funded half of Thorne's income over the last year. It's a pretty Thorne product.
Tested supplements, baby.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot to handle. Like I said, like I can't even tell you what chemo drugs I was on, because I feel like I mentally put up a block to be like, I'm not going to learn this stuff. And like Tim could rattle off like my dosages and the different drugs and why I'm on which ones and which ones have which side effects. And I'm just like, in one ear out the other, like I'm just going to the hospital, letting them fill my veins up and then like leaving and dealing with it. And so yeah, he has been a godsend.
Yeah, having that medical advocate in your corner, having that support system in your corner is massive. And I actually, as you were talking about that, it got me thinking about ultra running, in the sense that we run not because we're going to have the perfect race, but because we're going to have to troubleshoot and problem solve and figure out the puzzle. And you need to rely on other people and lean into other people. It's not just me putting one foot in front of the other. Like having a team, having that support person is important to get you from aid station to aid station.
Totally.
Do you think, and this feels very like cliche to even say or ask, but do you think ultra running in a way prepared you to deal with this cancer battle?
Oh, so I had chemo every 3 weeks, and that was like a race for me. Like, we would prep the night before, like, this is the crew bag, this is what I need, like, this is my heating pad and my hand ice buckets and my foot ice bucket, and like I had like ice mittens and ice socks, and like we had like this ice cap we had to bring, and like the spray bottle to get your hair wet, and like all of our snacks laid out, and then we had books and games, and like this is our crew bag for chemo. And we like, this is my blanket and my puffy, and like just to be as comfortable as you possibly could. And then like, again, I know I'm like talking about Tim and his mom so much, but they did not miss a beat. And so we would show up at like 7:45, and then Tim's mom would show up around like noon, and she would bring us like Starbucks and treats, and we would be there till 6 at night. And so like we were just there all day, every day. And like to have Tim there and then his mom show up, and just, I had a girlfriend who's also an ultra runner fly in, and she sat with me all day. And just to have like, just literally people sit with you. Like that's all you need, is just like to not feel alone. And yeah, it definitely was like a team effort. And so Tim crewed me at his very first ultra race. His first crewing ultra race this last weekend. And like, everybody's like, aren't you scared? Like, he's never crewed before, all this stuff. I'm like, I have no qualms at all. Like, I have full faith that no matter what, he'll figure it out, and like, it'll be totally fine. And he crushed it, and it was so much fun. So yeah, like, I think, you know, when you get stuff handed to you in life like that, you figure out like who you can lean on. And he just has kept showing up no matter what.
I'm just picturing him crewing in like the most horrible weather possible at this race that you just did.
Yes.
And that's what we're gonna talk about. I think I messaged you probably 24 hours after the race, and I was like, we have to talk. This will be super fun.
Yeah.
And it was this idea too that like you didn't just return to racing last weekend. You completed and competed in a 100-mile race, because that's how we are at Arc of Attrition, and the weather was awful. I'm curious. I mean, I guess it's kind of one of those, we chatted a little bit before the race, and it was kind of a like, go before you're ready sensation, where it's like, I have no idea if I'm ready for this or not, but I have to go do it, and I have to figure out where I'm at right now in this running journey. I guess maybe in that pre-race moment, how did that feel, like stepping up to a start line maybe before, in a way, you felt like you were completely ready?
Yeah, so I signed up for this race. Like I said, there's like good chemos and bad chemos, or like manageable chemos and chemos that you didn't think you were going to live through. And so there's like a particularly good chemo. I think it was like number 4. And I was running really strong, and I was like, this is great. Like, if I can run like this, like, so chemo is every 3 weeks. Week 1 is like just a total loss. Week 2 is like, you're kind of neutral. You're getting back into the swing of some things. And then week 3, if you can make gains, you know, and then that cycle just repeats and repeats. So yeah, I think it was chemo number 4. I was feeling like particularly strong, and I was like, okay, I can race. Like, I'm like mapping out, like if I can like keep training like this and like have some sort of consistency with it, train through December, I can easily race like the end of January. So I signed up, and then chemo number 6 killed me. Like, I couldn't race, or I couldn't run. Oh man, I like 3-4 weeks or more. Like, I went into immunotherapy, I think it was December 5th, and that immunotherapy like was way harder on my body than I thought it was going to be. So I was doing like, I don't know, 40-mile weeks, let's say, maybe 50. And I just like was hitting walls. And then I was like, if I were taking this race seriously, I should be doing 100-mile weeks. Like, what am I doing right now? I can't race. Like, this is not who I am. And even though my 50-mile weeks, like I was doing them, they weren't particularly strong. And so then I was kind of like, okay, I'm not racing. And then the next day I'd be like, should I race? And it was just so indecisive for so long. And I made my decision, I'm not going to race. And like, before I pull the plug, I'm going to talk to Tyler, my sports agent, and just like, let him know where I'm at so that he can talk to OnlyFans and like
figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Like, I've like learned over the last year, everything will be fine. So, I talked to him, and I was like, I've gotten in 2 30-mile runs, and they were so-so. Like, I feel okay about them. I think I could have gone further. I didn't feel insanely strong, but I did them. And yeah, I don't think it's a question of finishing. I think it's a question of like I think we're looking at top 5, maybe top 10. I don't think we're looking at a win. And I was like, I don't know if I want to jump back on the scene like that. And I think we've also like have a little PTSD over the last year where like you sign up for a race and you don't show up. And he's like, I think you just pull the trigger. Like if you don't, like maybe you sprain your ankle before March, because like the next race I would potentially do would be March. And he's like, maybe you sprain your ankle, maybe like who knows what could happen. If you feel that you can finish this race, like just go do it. And so I was like, okay. And I thought about it and I'm like, yeah, I just want to be at that start line. And so then we get there and like, I don't know, like you get like little like wiggles and niggles that like pop up and you're like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. Like this is a mistake. Like this isn't good. And then you're just like, I don't care if I have to walk this out. I'm finishing this race. And so that was the mindset from the start line. And I was like, if like I was having like this hamstring issue that I thought was gone. And so like every mile I was just like, if my hamstring explodes, I only have to walk 99 miles now. Okay, I only have to walk 98 miles. So every mile was just like one less I have to walk at, 30-minute pace. And that was kind of just like my mindset. It's like just 1 mile at a time, get it done. And whenever you finish, you finish. And yeah, the weather was horrendous and it was way more technical than I thought it was going to be for a race. I'm so ecstatic I finished. And yeah, it was just an experience. And now I know like I can finish 100 miles. And so now we can work on speed.
I think it's super interesting. And I'm really proud that your agent was like, I think you should do this. Like, I think this is the right call. And I'm just reflecting on us as runners. I know that we're humans that are incredibly critical of ourselves and we have really high expectations for ourselves. And that might mean that when we have a disappointing race, we beat ourselves up a little bit about it because we have really high expectations for how we want to perform. And I'm wondering, I mean, obviously you got to the start line and you said, I'm going to finish this thing kind of no matter what. But that in my mind feels like a pretty big shift. Not to say it's a permanent shift, but it feels like a pretty big shift from the Sabrina that I have known for the past, 6-7 years.
I think that shift had to be embraced because like just being totally transparent, if I had to wait to March to race, like mentally I was losing my mind. Like it had been 14 months since I raced and I just like don't know if I could have made it 16. Like, I mean, obviously I would have made it, but I was like just in such a dark place. And I'm just like, I just need to feel normal again. I need to feel like myself. I need to be amongst my people. I need to just get this outlet. Like, I can't just live the same day every day of just like going and training with like not a certain goal at the end. Like, sure, I could have signed up for a race in March and like I would have got to March and I would have felt just as nervous and like maybe my training would have been more prepared. I would have been more fit or whatever, but I don't know how easy those 2 months would have been. And so like being able to go to the start line, get to the finish line, takes such a weight off my shoulders. Be like, okay, I raced and like it is what it is. And like I'm stoked on 4th place. Like if you had told me a year ago that I'd be this happy about a 4th place, like I would have said you're crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Like there's so many things in my life that if you told me a year ago this is where you'd be, I'd be like, I don't know what happened. This is not right.
9 months ago. It's not even a year ago. It's like we're talking like 8 or 9 months. Like, and it's like I hate when people tell me I'm gonna like learn so much from this experience and like I'm done learning. Like I don't want to learn anymore. I want to just like do what I want to do.
Yeah.
That is, I'm thrilled for you. And it felt like forever. And it was in a lot of ways forever.
Yeah.
But some people are going to see 9 months and be like, holy cow, like Sabrina got back quickly from this, this kind of like crazy life tumult, like, everything going completely awry.
Yeah.
But I do think it's an interesting reflection of like, if you told me a year ago that I would be stoked on this thing, I wouldn't believe you. And I think that is that blessing of like ripping the Band-Aid off and getting back out there, even when it wasn't perfect, even when we weren't completely ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So many times, like Tim and I have said, like, if you just given us this snapshot, I've been like, who's that beside me? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't know. I needed that in like the worst way. And like, I feel like I didn't even realize like how much pressure it would have taken off just to, like, if I'd come in last, I would have been, I think, equally as stoked. And I believe, like, I gave every ounce of myself to that race. Like, I'm not like, if I had ran like this section faster, if I'd not stopped at the aid station this long, or if I'd done, whatever, I could have jumped a spot or, whatever it is. It's like, no, I left everything out there. And like, that's all you can ask for. And like, again, going back to the weather, like I've never taken so much time probably at aid stations. Like I don't know my accumulative time at aid stations, but every crewed aid station, I changed sports bra, t-shirt, long sleeve, jacket. Like you were just drenched to the bone the entire time. Socks, like it's like, I'm going to leave here and I'm going to feel comfortable. Like I've never raced where I'm like, I want to feel comfortable, but like, I was like, screw it. Like my goal is to finish and I'm going to finish. And I think these 20 minutes I'm going to take at an aid station to be warm will pay off later on than just being like miserable and trudging through this water and rain and wind for however many hours.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that payoff at UTMB this year. The people who took time to put an actual jacket on, like that made or broke. That's not even how you say it. A section for people, right? Like, that was the lessons learned. Like this race, I saw pictures from you. I saw pictures from Corinna, the Swiss gal who finished, I think, in 5th. And it's just like,
she's a sweetheart.
In pants, like, and is still covered in mud somehow. Like it looked so gnarly.
Everybody, full pants, full rain kit. And like, I told Tim going into it, like, this is like my extra bag of gear. I've never touched it in all the races I've ever done. Like, I have an extra pair of socks for every aid station. I have extra sports bras, long sleeves. Like, it's like kind of a security blanket. I won't touch this bag. Like, I'll be in and out of aid stations so fast. And I came in like aid station 1. I'm like, okay, we need to change socks right now. And I'm like, I know they're going to be wet immediately, but there's so much like grit in my toes that like, I don't care if they get wet again. We just need to clean them out. And then, like, again, sports bra, t-shirt, like just to get wet or to get dry and get that dampness off your skin, especially like it's a 1 p.m. start. And so it gets dark there at like 4:30 and it doesn't get light again until 8. And so you're in the dark most of the race.
You're selling this race so strongly, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, it's UK in January and you're on the coast. So like you didn't know if it was like waves or rain. Like you're just getting like hit by wind and water and like who knows where the water's coming from, but you're just constantly soaked. There's one like little section that you had to go across and there's like a guard or like a guy volunteer watching you, but like you're just getting slammed by waves. Like you're like going through this town and like the guy in front of me was like 6'2" and it like brought him to his knees. Like you're just like full on like crazy water. And like you're just like in like waterproof gloves the entire time. And it was by far the worst weather I've ever had in an event. And like, you just kind of, again, you just like tell yourself, we're finishing this no matter what. Like it's miserable for everybody out here, like just 1 mile at a time.
I love that you chose like what was probably like one of the flatter 100-mile options out there. And yet it still was like somehow
intentionally
so freaking hard from every direction.
Yeah.
I guess kind of reflecting on some of that, were you able to, I mean, weather aside, coming back first race in a long time aside, were you able to like dig into that competitive spirit outside of like the survival instinct of like my hamstring's bothering me, I want to finish this thing no matter what? Were you able to find competitive moments out there with the rest of the field and the rest of the women?
Yes, I would say it was more like overall, it wasn't like female specific. It was just like, okay, like, I'm in this pack of men. I'm constantly like, okay, like how can I gain on the person in front of me? How can I pass the person in front of me? And like, like when you get past, you're like, God damn it. Like you're not stoked on it. So I think, and then I also was like, I'm going to try not to walk at all. Like obviously like sometimes it's so technical and you just can't run through like knee deep water. It's not efficient, but if I should be running, I'm going to be running. And I really tapped into that as much as I possibly could. And I had some really strong sections, I feel like, where I dug deeper into that. And then there were other times where it's just like you're at an aid station and you're changing all your clothes and like a female runs in and leaves and you're like, you just kind of like put your hands up. You're like, I'm here to finish. Like, so I think there were times where I wasn't as competitive I would have been in the past, or I'd be like, I would have been like so not frantic, but like so rushed in the aid station. Like, I need to get out of here. I need to go. I need to chase her down. And then there was also just like the aspect of like, nope, you aren't competitive here in this realm, but like on the trail, like your competitive shows through where you're just going to keep pushing no matter what and be consistent. And so, like I said earlier, like I still don't think I have fourth and fifth gears, but like put me in third gear and just like send me on my way. And so that was kind of my attitude, is like, if it was going to be a sprint to the finish, I don't know if I could have done that. And like the female behind me, she finished like, it was like a minute 19 and she came out of nowhere. And like, I'm so thankful I was as close to the finish line as I was, because I would not have been able to, I don't think, push as hard as she probably could have to that finish line if it was a sprint. But yeah, like I just like knew that third gear was my bread and butter, and I was just going to sit in it all day.
I love that. I love that it's like you took exactly what the day gave you and that you found those moments to be competitive and to be, I think, the Sabrina we know you to be on the race course, while also just like really taking care of yourself and getting the day done. And I'm wondering, as you look ahead to the rest of 2026, a new year, a new you, a new
Yes.
race experience. Yes. What are you going to take from Arc of Attrition forward into the rest of the competitive season, as far as like lessons learned or things that you're excited to build off of?
Yeah. I mean, I think just this whole year, like Arc of Attrition included, like, I don't know, it'd be really hard for me to finish a race and be disappointed now. Like, I think old Sabrina would have, like, if you're not in first, I would have been like, like, I can do better than that. Like, I should have done blah, blah, blah. And now it's just like, I hope this doesn't go away, but I'm just so happy to race. I'm so happy to be running and feel strong and capable and like not be sick, you know? Like, so even if I think that my fitness, I should win a race and I come in third or I come in 10th, I think it's just like, oh, I got to finish another 100-miler. Like, I got to do this. And so, yeah, like the old me would have been like, what? Like, that's not competitive. But I'm not saying I'm not competitive anymore. I'm just like so much more appreciative of just like, and I hate to be corny, but just like life and the opportunity to still be competing at this level. And like luck, like I heard, I forget the name, like whatever, like huge, like cancer.org, whatever. They just that like, I think it was like 20 years ago, like if you got caught with cancer, it was like a 50% mortality rate within 5 years. And now they're saying that it's 30%. And so 70% of people who get caught with cancer, like they'll live at least 5 years after that. And, you know, the younger you are, hopefully longer. And so I know like I was never, at least to my knowledge, my doctors were always like, we contained it. We got it out. Chemo was going to solve it. My cancer markers are all like way low now. And like immunotherapy is a precaution. It's not, I'm going to pretend like it's not 100% necessary. We're just doing it to make sure. But you still like look at life a different way, you know, like you still have months where you're not training and you're like recovering and you're like, this is way too real, you know, this is, it's just scary. It's scary to face that like aspect of mortality. And so, yeah, I'm just like so thankful that I get to do what I do and am back to competing at closer to a normal level that I was at. And hopefully I continue to get closer and closer to what I used to be. And I think I will. So yeah, it's just, I think moving forward, it's just a gratitude towards the sport and towards my body.
I'm excited to see what that looks like in 2026.
Yeah, I don't even know what that looks like.
I feel like we'll find out. Do you know, and you don't have to tell us, obviously, there's a lot up in the air. Yeah. Do you know what you might be racing next, where we get to see you next?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like feeling out my body over like the next couple weeks or month.
You did just race. I don't know. This is me putting a lot of pressure on you, like 4 days post 100-mile.
And I'm trying to be rational, and because everybody's like, your body has been through a lot and like it might not recover the way you have in the past. So we're gonna see how recovery goes. I would say like I'm definitely would like to race Canyons 100. I'm not signed up, but I would like, I kind of want to race in the States. I I would like to race in like the late spring, early summer. And that feels like a good race to like jump to next. So that's what is like causing the twinkle in my eye currently. We'll see like again how recovery goes, because I do want to race healthy. Like I don't want to like jump into a race I'm not ready for. And then I am signed up for UTMB, so that is the long-term goal. And so like big picture, I want to show up to UTMB healthy, and that is like overall what's most important. And then if I can do some races along the way, then I will. And who knows what distance, but if possible, I would like to do Canyons 100.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait for UTMB now. It's another like reason for me to be stoked in August.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one kind of closing question that I ask everyone as well. And it's a little bit of a reflection. I know we've been very reflective for much of this podcast, but it's simply, what is something that you know now that you wish you could tell your younger self?
Oh, man. Like, I hate how simple this is, but just like don't take anything too seriously. Like, I think just like live in the moment as much as possible. I like, you hear it all the time, but like you just don't know what tomorrow brings. Like you really don't. And so you need to just appreciate like the path you're on, you know? And then try to find the positives in it. Like if I hadn't been doing what I do, I don't think I would have caught cancer the way I caught it. So I think I just have to be thankful for that. Like if I had went and raced in Argentina, I might have attributed it to like post-race something or other and not raced for a month and also not caught it. And so even like, I'm just going to throw every cliche at you can. So like when one door closes,
everything happens for a reason.
Yes. Like I never would have met Tim. There's so many great things that have happened through cancer, ironically enough. I have recently moved to Steamboat with Tim, and like I've met so many incredible women who are nurses, who are athletes. Like my nurse practitioner is a trail runner. One of my nurses, she's done Leadville mountain bike race like 4 or 5 times. Like there's so many incredible athletes that have been taking care of me, and so they get it. And it's like there are like bright spots to be appreciated along the way.
I love that so much. And we're just going to combine all the cliches together. It's like when one door closes, everything happens for a reason. So I do think that it's been pretty special to watch. It was pretty special to be at your wedding in the fall and to meet Tim, and I am so excited to see him and you maybe at Canyons, and then see both of you at UTMB later this summer.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me.
I love you so much. This was fun.
Chatting with Sabrina felt like catching up with an old friend. And in fact, that's exactly what it was. And it also continued a bit of a theme that we've had thus far in 2026. That is, leaving behind perfection as we tackle goals sometimes before we are ready. I'm super appreciative of Sabrina's honest candor today, and hope that we can all take some of that gratitude with us to future start lines. A huge thank you to our producing partners over at Feisty Media. Follow them over on Instagram at feisty_media, or go over to their website, feisty.co, to see what they've got cooking up. We'll catch you next week, or until then, we'll see you out on the trails.